Hi, this is Katie Nip, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D-Cal.
What up, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Are we on? Looks like we are. Hey, this is D-Cal, host of the E.I.T.H.R podcast. How you guys doing?
Here we go, a show to slowly unfold some views that's in the news that make us uncomfortable. You never heard this podcast is broadcasting contrast of popular opinion. Stop that, assuming that you knew every view that's brewing. So keep it moving. If you got any sense, then you're welcome to put two so in. Listen in, relax, chill, take a breather, and let D-Cal put y'all onto the ether.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy D-Cal here, hosting the E.I.T.H.R podcast from the GNSHQ in Northern California, man. Hope everyone is doing well. Today, October 1st, 2024. Crazy. We're supposed to be in fall, but it still feels like summer showing her little funky ass outside. So it's supposed to be triple digits for the next couple of days. So we're gonna try to beat the heat and keep a cool topic going on with the podcast today. So episode number 153. And as always, man, for everyone who's tuning into the podcast, man, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you stopping by. For those of you who are returning, man, welcome back. The E.I.T.H.R podcast, the elephant in the room, where we have discussions about topics that you normally wouldn't be able to have with your peers and people because they're normally short-sighted, one-sided, nearsighted. The whole premise of this thing is not to get you to agree with what I am saying or to sway your thinking, if you will. The whole thing is to give you a better understanding of what it is that you are disagreeing with. Social media, you can follow us on the E.I.T.H.R, E.I.T.H.R. Instagram, Twitter, Threads. All right, so you can go ahead and do that. So if you're new to the podcast, here's what we normally do. We start everything off with an inspirational or motivational quote. We also do shout outs to people. And we've been doing this since the beginning of time of the episode of doing the podcast. So what I want to do is give a shout out to, you may have heard her in the beginning, the intro, Katie Nip, young lady here in Sacramento. She take blues / rock / I describe it more as a I was messaging her not too long ago, like, it's freedom rock, right? Like freedom rock, where there is no category, despite giving it its own category, right? But it sounds how it pleases. It lands where the music lands where it lands, and that's what it is. It's a very acquired taste, as one of the articles put, but if you can connect with what she's saying, how she's delivering, it's almost like a very liberating type of style of music. So I want to give her a shout out, man, because she had this article from the Rock Doctor, and the Rock Doctor gave her a very complimentary article on her music, and she's top 10 blues artist right here in Northern California, man, and independent artist. And I just want to give her and her crew a shout out, some props here on the E.I.T.H.R podcast. If you get a chance, go to her website, Katie Nip, KATIEKNIPP.com. Peep it out. Get the vinyl, get the cassette, download, stream, whatever she got, man. Support your girl from here. And I'm a little bit biased too because she's also from the East Bay. So by default, she gets extra support on that alone as well. So that's my shout out. Inspirational, motivational, which is going to tie into today's topic. Man, listen, the man who refuses to read has no advantage over the man who cannot. I posted an article from Snopes, not the rapper, but the E.I.T.H.R website. And a lot of bots, a lot of trolls, a lot of people are claiming, one quote, liberals don't know how to meme. One, I'm not necessarily a liberal, but we're going to get into what this article talks about right after a word from my sponsor. So hold on real tight. We'll be right back. It's the E.I.T.H.R podcast with your boy D-Cal.
Most t-shirts are simply cool to look at or look in. Well, so are ours. But ours also aim to send a message. They aim to put a name on obstacles that once stood in your way and aren't there anymore. Struggles that you turned into successes and crushed. You made it look easy. Shop at mile.today. Mile.today. www.mile.today. A GNS collection.
I posted this article 2 days ago, because I remember not too long ago, I want to say it was the real estate investor Robert Kiyosaki who made a point to bring awareness to a lot of things that happened within the U.S. government. I don't know where you guys are in the country. I don't know where you guys are in the world. But in the United States, a lot of political, lack of better terms, manipulation, a lot of deceitfulness, as people would probably want to call it, tends to occur during the NFL season. And I don't necessarily disagree with what he was saying, because it does appear during the offseason, during the NFL offseason, those 6 months or whatever, politics is really slow. I mean, there's a lot of lip service, a lot of distraction, a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric, a lot of stage performancing when it comes to between politicians and coverage from media and so on and so forth. But during NFL season, because football, America, is a huge sport in this country, when it happens, we all, as Robert Kiyosaki once said, we all get into our beer and football comas. Like nothing, where we overlook everything. So it's easier for someone to sneak in, suggest a policy, create something that one particular political side might not catch, pay attention to, or believe, or they'll sneak in something where one political side may catch it, red flags, red lights, sound the alarm. And it's a beautiful distraction. It's what they call the Kansas City Shuffle, where everyone looks right and you go left. Okay? And by the time you realize it was happening, shit that already took place. So, the article that I posted a couple of days ago from Snopes, not the rapper, but the fact-checking website, put something out there about Project 2025. Now, this is a hot topic because, again, man, we live in a world, bro, where nobody believes anything unless they tend to agree with the side that's presenting it, right? So it's very frustrating, because if you're a liberal, there's a great chance anything the conservatives will put, anything the conservatives will push out, you're going to pay close attention to, microscopically, right? Anything, if you're conservative, the liberals put out, fake and false. Doesn't matter if it is the truth. You're going to justify it. Prime example, there was this video I saw on social media, right? And this gentleman goes, I think it was a matter of fact, I think it was a woman, because it was a guy who does this also. But they'll go to, for example, Trump rallies, and they'll go up to people and say, President Biden, when he was still running in office, President Biden said this, and the person will go back and say, that guy, he's total fraud, and right, and they'll come and say, no, actually, it was this person who said it. Oh, and then they'll backpedal and justify it. So, in this particular video, the woman, the host, I can't remember if it was the guy or the girl. And no, they didn't look like a female. No, it wasn't someone who was a transgender. No, there's two separate people on two separate occasions. I just don't remember which host it was doing this. Made the comment about how Joe Biden didn't enlist in the military because he had bone spurs. And this particular woman is going off about how he is not a real man and he's a disgrace, and how, something like that shouldn't stop you from defending this country and all this other fun stuff and blah. I mean, she's really just going in. And then the host says, oh, you know what? I got my facts mixed up. It was actually former President Trump who didn't do that. Oh, well, that's okay, because, my brother has issues with his feet too, and you don't really want to go in because you could put other surgeons at harm if you do something like that. So I totally understand why he didn't want to do it. It's one of those scenarios, again, it proves my point. If you are for something, you'll justify it. If you are against something, you'll reject it. Right? Talk about sports. American football, we just got to talking about it. Everybody sees the penalties that goes against their team. But you never notice the penalties your team does to the other team. And if you do notice it, you're quick to call, well, that's just payback. That's just because that's karma, because you'll justify it. I am a Raider fan, right? Born in Berkeley, raised in Oakland, moved to Castro Valley, like junior high school. So first half of my youth, Oakland. Second half of my youth, Castro Valley. I stopped being a diehard Raider fan once I started noticing how certain moves were being made in the NFL, and I understood my perspective. Shit is a business. When you can look at things objectively with as much non-bias as you possibly can, you can decipher what is fact and you can decipher what is, as I would call it, manipulation. Politics is manipulation, right? There's no money in the unity. It's division. That's the bread and butter, baby, right? If I can get you to hate that side and that side to be afraid of that side, I can sell both you motherfuckers on something. So when it comes to putting things out there, when it comes to politics, if it doesn't align with your belief, you reject it. And the sad part is a lot of people choose to not even want to acknowledge or learn what it is that the other side might be saying. And that is something where I had to force myself to do when it came to hearing what the other political side had to say. I was raised a liberal, and I didn't know what the hell a liberal was at one point. I just knew right was right, wrong is wrong, right? And then I understood the titles, then I understood the labels. And if you really pay attention to it, there's so many stereotypes that both sides live by and attack each other for, that if you both just shut the fuck up and listen, you have more in common than you don't. It's wild. I remember on TikTok, there's the redneck liberal. He goes into it about how if you really pay attention to it, poor black people and poor white people, people who live in the hood and the ghetto, people who live in the trailer park, y'all have more in common with each other than you do differences. But because this whole thing is painted for you to hate one another, you can't see that. Here is something that folks don't really want to pay attention to. And I'm going to get to the Snopes part. Don't trip. I promise you. They don't want anyone to understand what's really happening. It doesn't matter which side, in my opinion, is victorious. Because in some aspect, both sides aren't going to be happy. And most of the time, the side who isn't happy just because their side didn't win. Not necessarily because of the policies don't align with what they want. Not because the policies that were approved and moved forward is something that isn't a benefit to them. Simply because the popularity contest of votes didn't go their way. So anything you say, I'm not going to be for. It's almost like reverting to a child's mindset who didn't get their way, and we throw tantrums, right? Ultimately, that's how it appears. And I lean towards the government understands that psyche of the human being. So they revert us mentally and emotionally to children because that's how they see us. And once we start to act as the way they portray us to be, they then handle us accordingly. So, if that makes any sense to anybody. So, moving forward real quick, we're going to talk about Snopes, the fact check. So there's Snopes and there's Reuters. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right. It's Reuters. Reuters is more of a social media fact checking, if you will. Snopes tends to be more about information as a whole. So Snopes.com, it says, when misinformation obscures the truth and readers don't know what to trust, Snopes fact-checking the original investigative reports lights the way to evidence-based and contextualized analysis. We always link to and document our sources so readers are empowered to do independent research and make up their own minds. That's the first thing on their website. On my post for this Project 25 wants to turn 40-hour work week into 160-hour work month, people are losing their fucking minds in the comment section. Liberals don't know how to meme. I got called a Marxist. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. If you say something that people don't agree with, they're going to hit you with every single label, not knowing what the label means. It just sounds right. So therefore, that's what you are. Snopes got its start in 1994, investigating urban legends, hoaxes, and folklore. As demand for a reliable fact check grew, so did Snopes. Now it's the oldest and largest fact-checking site online, widely regarded by journalists, folklorists, and readers as an invaluable research companion. Snopes.com is an independent publication under the company Snopes Media Group, Inc., which is owned by Chris Richmond and Drew Schientrup. Ooh, I hope I said that as accurate as I possibly could. I know I butchered it. Each owning 50%. Snopes is a member of IFCN and in compliance with the International Fact-Checking Network's highest standards of combating misinformation online. And then it kind of goes to, if you have any questions, reach out to them. If you have any complaints, reach out to them, so on and so forth. So that's Snopes.com. Fact check. Project 2025 wants to turn 40-hour work week into 160-hour work month. Here's the article. Claim. Project 2025 plans to turn the 40-hour work week into a 160-hour work month so employers can avoid paying overtime by cutting an employee's hours later in the month if they worked extra hours near the start of the month. Rating. Mostly true. What's true? Project 25 did indeed call for Congress to allow employers and employees to adapt its proposed model for an increased overtime period, which would indeed make it possible for employers to pay less overtime to employees. What's false? But it did not explicitly state that every company should comply with this model. Further, it is also suggested another model. Let me read the back. Further, it also suggested another model of 80-hour. Further, it also suggested another model of 80 working hours across 2 weeks, not just 160 hours across 4 weeks. Someone in the comment section said, 40 times 4, how much is that? You gotta love trolls. I didn't respond to anybody. Kind of just say what you wish. Back to the article. In September 2024, less than 2 months before the U.S. presidential election, allegations continued to spread that Project 2025, a conservative coalition plan for the future Republican administration, sought to put limits on employers having to pay employees overtime by calling for a change in the way work hours are counted. There is a video in this article from the campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris shared the claim archived on September 24th. So there's a video, which I'm not going to play in the podcast, but you can, if you go to the article, you can play it yourself. But the caption says, Representative Debbie Dingell, buried in Project 2025 is a plan to eliminate overtime pay. It is a generous gift to the corporations and an insult to the American worker. Under Trump's Project 2025, employers could force workers to work more than 40 hours a week without paying them. And then it says, see more. So obviously there's more to the caption. The post had gained 1 million views and 25,000 likes as of this writing. It featured a video of Rep. Debbie Dingell, who I just read the caption for just now, so it just kind of repeats that. But under former President Donald Trump's Project 25, employees can force workers to work more than 40 hours without paying them time and a half. In other words, you work harder and you earn less. Workers deserve better. This rumor had begun to circulate the previous month, but notably when former Labor Secretary Robert Reich, this is his tweet, Project 2025 would change the 40-hour work week to a 160-hour work month. So your boss could make you work extra hours with no overtime pay by cutting your hours later in the month. See page 592. The X post, which had amassed more than 1.5 million views for this writing, read, Project 25 would change. Oh, never mind. We just reread that. All 3 pages. Okay. I'll let you guys read the rest of the article. I'm not going to bore you with it. But clearly, the purpose of this whole thing is to turn 40 hours a week into 160 hours a month. The common troll is going to see that and do the math of, well, 160 divided by 4, isn't that 160? You stupid libs. Got it. 3 people, as of right now, in the comment section I don't know whether they read the article or they read a similar one, But out of 160 hours a week or a month, your job can give you 40, 50, 60, 70-hour work week. Now, I'm not going to sit back and say those hours will be consecutive, right? It'll probably be split shifts. I know a couple people who do split shifts now. I have done split shifts when I used to be in the retail world. So it's not that far of a reach to do a 6-hour here, come back, depending on where you work and the position, an 8-hour after a so long of a break between shifts. And then your hours will kind of just count down per month. You get paid accordingly. The issue with that, I can split your shifts up to where you work 4 hours here, you work 3 hours here. That's 7 right there, obviously. Then you come back and work another 4 hours. Then you come back and work another X amount of hours between that. The law is going to get readjusted to what legal time is allowed between shifts. Now, as far as I remember, you must give somebody, I want to say, a full 8-hour break between 8-hour shifts, if I remember correctly. If that's the case, all they got to do is schedule you a bunch of 7-hour shifts. Remember, somebody comment or let me know if it's accurate or not. I would look it up, but my laptop's not working right now. So, if you work 4 hours, you get a 15-minute break. If you work 6.5 hours, you get a 15-minute break and a minimum 30-minute lunch. 8 hours, 2 15-minute breaks, and a 30-minute lunch. Or is the lunch 60 minutes? I guess it kind of depends on, right? I know when I used to work for Copeland Sports, they would schedule us 9-hour shifts because we got a 1-hour lunch. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you need 8 hours between a full-time shift of work legally. All I gotta do is schedule you for 3 7-hour shifts. And I'm within the legal parameters of labor law and a 160-hour work month. You do not need, if this is accurate, and if my memory serves me correctly, you do not need to have an 8-hour break in between these 7-hour shifts. What that means is 7 hours. So you work from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring your ass back here at 6. To close. And bring your ass back here in the morning at 7 to 2. Bring your ass back here again 5 to close. Bring your ass back in again 7 to 2. See that routine? So-and-so called in. I need you to come in at 4, not 5. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to accept this because, let's just face it, of all the issues that's going on and the conflicting stories and beliefs and articles about Project 25, who is, who isn't involved, who is, who isn't associated, who is, who isn't endorsing. That's a great way to get you to talk about everything but this shit. So if you're able to make that happen and not have to have people focus on the details and stuff like this, it's a win for people involved, man. Because again, the man who refuses to read has no advantage over the man who cannot. And it just appears on this particular post, as an example, most people do not want to read anything other than the caption and then make the assessment based on what it's saying in the caption. Then their conclusion goes off to their opinion about who it is from or who it's about, which baffles me. And I kind of had this realization myself, right? A lot of us don't have the time to read the article, but we have the time to read the comment section. That always led to this belief that I've had like the past 5 years or longer, man. We rather be entertained than educated. And I will say this too. In most cases, ignorance is bliss. Because if I am told about something that I refuse to accept, about someone that I am a fan of, that changes my reality. It changes everything that I perceived. It changes everything that I wanted to believe. It changes everything that I had hopes for. Right? The teacher would say it's a very scary place. It's a very scary place when you realize the person who you admired and looked up to is nothing like what you expected them to be. That's another reason why they tell you don't ever meet your heroes, because you expect your heroes to believe a certain thing. You expect them to look a certain thing. You expect them to speak on certain things. You expect them to be aligned with your alignment. Once you find out that they're not, that changes everything how you see them, which is the reason why I stopped having this connection, if you will, to a political party. Instead, I started paying more attention to what are they saying? What are they doing? What are they? Okay. I now have the understanding. Politicians are going to say whatever the hell they're going to say, bro, just to get your vote so they can get in. I don't care what political side you believe in. In the history of politics since you have been on this planet, when has your politician ever achieved at the goals they told you they were going to? Truly think about that. Don't just look at the shit that they didn't do, but go in and look at the policies that they have done. Because it seems a lot of things that's circulating are all the things that people haven't accomplished. But nobody really wants to do a dive into all the things that they have accomplished. Right? You can't please people who only look for what you didn't do. But you want to pay attention to those who notice the things that you have done. Right? So, what say you guys after me reading 2/3 of the article? What say you? Does a 160-hour work month really bother you? Do you see a big deal with it? Do you not see a deal with it? Again, do you care about it? Is it something that you feel, that you lean, that you believe this is just talk, this isn't going to happen? Or if it does happen, are you okay with it? Of course, there's going to be steps of who can, where it's going to be allowed. Each state, each district, each county, each city, each town is going to have their own versions of, which also means that it could be a situation where your company might be able to adapt the rule and it's spread countrywide wherever they're located. Or you might be for a company who, if you work for the company within these state lines, you're under these rules and guidelines. But if they have you travel to a different location to work, you might be subject to those state guidelines, right? California might say, no, we don't want to do the 160-hour work month. That's something we're not with it. We're not going to force it. We're not going to allow it. It's not approved. However, if you go over to Nevada says, well, here in Nevada state, we honor the 160-hour work month, and we're giving you 7 hours on, 3 hours away, 6 hours on, 3 hours away, 7 hours on, 3 hours away for the rest of this week. How would you guys align with that? Again, no big deal to you because you're not tripping. Is that okay with your family if you have one? If you're single, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if you're married, if you have children, if you're a single parent, how was that? Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with that. It's your boy D.Cal with the E.I.TH.R podcast. Follow us on social media. The E.I.TH.R, T-H-E, E-I-T-H-R. Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Until next time, episode 154 will be up next. Man, appreciate you guys taking the time. Talk to you later. We out. Run these streets. The world is moving at a fast pace. This brand is designed to put you in first place. Authentic Italian leather shoes with a comfortable feel allow you to not only walk in comfort and style, but with confidence as well. Let the block know who owns it. Let the street know who runs it. RunTheseStreets.net.